Would you like me to hit the record button?
No, I would like to hit the record button. Hello, Chelsea friends! As you can tell, this is not Matt Ball. Matt Ball is stuck on the train. This is your secondary host, maybe your tertiary host, Carlito, and this is the Blue Co Project Podcast. See, I can say that seamlessly. Matt struggles with it every single time. Today, we are talking about a barn burner, a banger, a slobber knocker, a fucking war zone of a game. One of the finest examples of why this sport is king sport that I've seen in maybe 5 or 6 years. This is why not only the sport is king, but the league itself is unparalleled, untouched. This is England, baby. This is football, baby. And this is Man City Chelsea review. It was an outstanding display of intelligence, intensity, wild behavior, referee calls, rain, crazy passion, all of the above, all and more. This is why we watch the game for games like today. Okay, you don't get this shit in Italy. You certainly don't get this shit in La France, where they're retired. No. Only in England, baby. And only between teams like these two, who are a lot closer than people think. Chelsea, Man City review. Jared, we'll start with you. How are you?
I've had a wonderful day. I usually get disgusted if we don't get all 3 points, but it's hard to get disgusted when the team puts in that type of performance today. I'm usually not a fan of moral victories, but when you're building a young team and trying to build chemistry and togetherness, moral victories do play a part. And we played the best team in the world to a draw today. And some would say we were the better of the two teams. Now, I'll just leave it there. That in itself, for a team that's been together less than a year, that's something to be said. New coach, new players, going toe to toe with the best team in England and probably the world at this point. And we looked like we belonged. We looked like, hey, if we play this game 100 times, it's a 50-50 game. So I think we need to take this in and digest it and let this be a building block to future successes.
Paulinho.
Fellas, thanks for having me back. Fun as hell, that's for sure. We played them even, not just in the scoreline, but we didn't do anything special to accommodate them in any way. We just lined up, and I thought we were the better team for sure. A little unlucky not to get all three, but we'll take it. We'll take the draw, and we'll keep it moving, keep it building. And this team's only going to get better. Let's not forget. A lot of players coming back. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a guy that breaks down stats very often, but 45.2 to 54.8% possession, shots on goal 9-8, shot attempts Chelsea 17, Man United 15, fouls 12 to 15, yellows, corners 3-3, saves 6 and 5. Yeah, man, I mean it's as even as you can get. Torrential conditions. I mean, there was so much rain, steam was fogging up the camera lens. Steam was permeating throughout the field and the fans, or in the stadium, in the seats. It was everywhere, man. Pochettino kept having to have his assistant coach give him a new towel to wipe off his whole face, just because it was an unbelievably England atmosphere. I mean, these are the games that people talk about in hushed tones, behind closed doors for years to come. This is a game that shows the very best of our sport. I thought the VAR was fine. I thought that the referee was fine. I thought that the performances of both teams were really, really good, although I do think Chelsea had better moments. The managers, for the most part, were really good. Pochettino, under a lot of criticism over the last I don't know, month and a half or so by certain fans, certain pundits, not us. We understand this is a process. We understand that this is the guy, and we understand that this is the group that we want going forward. And, the more that we get healthy is really the more that we can show an adequate representation of what the team actually is. Because it's been a false and, I guess, underwhelming representation of what we really are, because it's just not the complete article yet. We haven't been able to show who we really are, but over the next 6 weeks, I do believe that we will be able to. So just, starting off with the game, Jared, let's start with you. What are some of the things that stood out to you, whether it's goals or movement or philosophies, lineup, pick anything you want, because there's a shitload of things. There's a bevy of things to think about and talk about.
Yeah, and I'm going to start with the captain because the talking point coming into the game was, oh, Jeremy Doku, the flavor of the month, the flavor of the moment. He got 4 assists against Bournemouth. Woo, let's be scared. I don't think he even got out of Reece James's pocket for a second in this match. Reece James is the best right back in the world. He's one of the best players in the world, and we are a far better team when he is on the pitch than we are with him off the pitch. And I don't care what anybody says. Reece James makes this team better every time he's on the pitch. And I also want to give a shout out to Gusto because levels did not drop when he got on the pitch.
No,
he is a very, very good young player. And this young man is going to get loads better being in a competition with the best at the position. So I'm going to start there. That doesn't mean other players don't need to have some praise, but I'm going to start with our captain, with the guy who put Doku in his pocket, send him back to Belgium. He's just another Lukaku, but he's shorter.
One of the things about Gusto is that he does 1-2s really well. It's a simple play down the line, but he always seems to get on the receiving end of that second pass, and he gets there so quickly. I don't think opposition understands he's a very quick player. More quickness than top speed, but he's very good at combining. As a result, he covers ground really quickly, and he multiple times he was getting forward, getting real dangerous, getting into space. Even more space than when Reece would get it, because Reece was more on the counter, but Gusto was in the run of play, and very impressive. I love having him as a player. Whether he starts or he comes off the bench, it doesn't really matter to me. Even though he's different than Reece, there's no concern there. Whereas to last year, whenever Aspi would play, I would boycott the game because I just couldn't watch the disparity between what Reece James is and how he affects the team versus what Aspi is and how he detrimentally affected the team. But now with Gusto, there's no clear drop-off, even if they are different.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just, again, 2 fantastic players at the top of their game, and we just need to be ecstatic that we have the best right back combo in the world.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Oh, yeah. Paul, what do you think, man? What are some of the things that stood out to you?
Well, if we're going to talk about outside backs, I think we got to talk about Marky Cucurella as well. He was outstanding. But obviously, the game, it was a full team effort. Like, no matter the guys starting, the guys that came off the bench, everybody made an impact. Broja drew the PK. Palmer, outstanding the entire game.
Yeah.
With his PK, obviously, huge. Caicedo, he was good at times, but I thought he actually struggled a little bit. But I thought the game was won and lost, or drawn, if you will, Drew, in the midfield for most of the game, especially when Enzo was in there. We really controlled things. And then later on, when Pep brought on Kovacic, and we changed to put Palmer more in the attacking midfield role, we kind of lost control of it a little bit. But again, like, just really good. Thiago Silva, professional header. He knew it was going in before he even before you could see him running off and celebrating before he even looked back to make sure it went in the net. He knew it was a no-doubter. But yeah, full team performance and definitely a lot to keep building on. One thing you've been highlighting, Carlito, is kind of the progress we're making as a club as far as like the style of play that we're playing now. We've not always played, so open and so fearlessly, I guess you could say. Suffer ball, I know, was one of your most beloved times under Antonio Conte. But obviously what we're building is a very attacking, fun, all-encompassing style of play, which I think that's what we all want to see as fans.
Yeah, a couple things that stood out to me. Disasi was very good. Outside of perhaps the one cross to Holland where Disasi failed to clear it, every other aspect of his game was really, really solid today. Aerially, one-on-one, positionally, he never loses the ball. He never loses the ball. Despite the fact that he's not the most fleet of foot, he's a little on the slower end in comparison to his best friend, Badiashile, who's more of a complete athlete. Disasi makes up for it in his positional sense, which is something we always knocked Trevor Chalobah for, right? I mean, Chalobah maybe a better athlete than Disasi in terms of mobility, but as an intelligent footballer and the way to read the game, to when to press, when not to press, when to step, when not to step, when to shift, when to hang. Chalobah was just horrendous at it in a way where Disasi is just the exact polar opposite. He knows his limitations, he knows his strengths, and he plays to them. And you can just totally tell that he's going to become an elite center back. And again, he's only been on this team for 3 months. A couple other things. You're right on Caicedo. I thought of all of the Chelsea starters and subs, I thought that he was the weakest player on the field for us. One of the reasons being, and the announcers kept talking about this, like that goal, that counter goal where Holland scored, a lot of that was on Caicedo. Caicedo trying to, win the ball the way that we often do, where we step in front of the guy that's about to receive it, and it completely destabilizes any sort of attack that the opponent wanted to do. But he was going up against one of the biggest players in the league. He gets turned. He's completely out of position. They counter, bring it up the right-hand side, do their cut ball, Man City style goal, right? Caicedo oftentimes was caught out of position against Man City today, and maybe that's because we were playing more of a 4-3-3 than a 4-2-3-1. Okay, I understand. He's more of the lone D mid, but at the same time, the expectations are really high for you, and the expectations are their highest in games like this. And I think that he will actually have competition for that spot. I don't care about his price tag. His price tag is meaningless to me. I think a player like Lavia, who is not only a little taller, but also bigger as an athlete, I think that he will get time. Now, maybe that pushes Caicedo up a little bit more, but I don't know if he is the finished article there, and I don't know if that spot is guaranteed for him yet, because there were some holes in his game today where I said, ooh, okay, there's some things he needs to work on. Now, why were those holes not highlighted in the last 2 years he was at Brighton? Because people just didn't talk about Brighton. People didn't really give a shit about Brighton other than the occasional win against Man United, right? But now that he's on a much higher profile team, everybody sees him every week. Everybody focuses on that $300 million midfield. Okay, it all of a sudden shows that he's got some weaknesses, getting out of position, dribbling at errant times, tackling at errant times, getting stripped, stabbing as well. So those are some of the things that I would like to see him work on, and he's going to have to start working on them because there's going to be a direct replacement for him if he falters in games or in training. And that's what we want. We want two players at every position. We want that internal competition because it'll make these guys better. But now I don't think he's going to be able to rest on his laurels anymore. I think that he's going to have to be perfect or damn near it, or Poach will be looking at Lavia and then as a third option, Leslie Ogochukwu. On top of all that, I thought Raheem Sterling was excellent. Just an absolute baller today. Probably the best player on the field. You could tell he really, really, really took that Gareth Southgate snub to heart, as he should. Southgate is a fucking moron. And I don't even care about international football. I only care about club. But Southgate's an idiot. And Sterling has been really good last couple of weeks. And today was his best game, probably in a Chelsea shirt.
Oh, definitely. Complete game. He just didn't. He actually won the ball, played some defense. He played a full game. He didn't play going forward. He played a complete game, and that's something I haven't seen from him. Although I would say this for him: if you're going to do this against Man City, can't you do this, please, against Luton? Or, you know what I'm saying? You did it against the big boys. I need you to do it week in, week out. Okay, if you're that guy, I need you to be that guy, week in, week out, not just against the team that you could get up for. I want you to get up for every team. And that's what that young team has to learn next. Doesn't matter who you're playing, you got to put the same level of performance in every week.
Paul, I was talking with Jared about this earlier today as well, but it's not big teams, tough opponents, large atmospheres where we struggle, which is great because it shows you are a big team. We struggle against teams that have no business getting anything from us.
Yeah, which is, it's infuriating because we have the talent. The guys can do it. It's just a matter of putting together the consistency, which is the tough part. And that just comes with time. It comes with them playing together more and as a group, finding their standard of play that they expect every time they come out on the pitch. So obviously Poch has a big part in creating that. But we're seeing it. We're seeing a lot of good things, especially against these top teams. And we just got to stay patient and keep building. But I agree with you. There's no question we're world class when we have those good days.
Yeah, and building on consistency, I think a lot of it. Now, there's two schools of thought with this. If a player is playing every week and he feels comfortable about his sport, feels comfortable about his job, but not comfortable in a complacent way, but comfortable in a confident way, then you can see how he's always going to want to play, and he doesn't want anything to disrupt that in a way that maybe Jack Grealish's this season has been disrupted by Doku coming in. Because I didn't think Jack Grealish did a fucking thing today. And he hasn't been very good lately, and that's because someone else has been coming in to replace him. But then I look at Nkunku, who's about to come in, and I'm saying to myself, all right, so who is this going to affect the most? And it might be affecting the most Sterling, Mudryk, and Jackson. Because it won't affect Palmer. Palmer's going to play regardless. But those three, when you're introducing a player that's probably better than all three of them, does this make those three better? Or does it make them go into a shell? I don't know, because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't bought a player like Nkunku in a very long time. He's kind of like a hybrid between Hazard and Willian a little bit there. And I'm just thinking to myself, does this make us strive harder, to train better, to expect more from each other in games? Or is this going to make certain players regress? I'm not sure. But I will tell you this, introducing Lavia and Nkunku now, it has the potential to go either way. I think it's going to be a really big positive, and I hope it is, because this was our best performance of the year so far, and we're only going to introduce more quality into it, maybe even bring in a striker in January. But I want to see how this team responds, Jared, because I don't know how they're going to respond just yet, and I also don't know how we're going to play. But I'm curious as to what you think about all of that.
Yeah, and look, while you were talking, I was looking at the schedule.
Yeah.
Just so people understand, when we come back, we play Newcastle. Who's supposed to be back by Newcastle? Christopher Nkunku. Now, do I think he's going to get the start from the jump? Probably not. They'll probably work him in, or they might play him 60 and rest him 30. But I'm guessing that game he'll come on for 30. Right? That's just my thought. I don't, but maybe he does start from the beginning, depending on injuries in training or international, whatever. But this guy, for me, the player that's at most is most likely to be dropped is going to be Conor Gallagher, and not because he hasn't been good. Okay, it's just because when you go play an intentional a traditional 4-2-3-1 with a cam, which for me right now in the way they're playing and scoring actually has the ball in the back of the net. Sterling, Jackson, and Palmer cannot be dropped. So if you're adding an Nkunku, you're going to look to get rid of one of the midfielders. And who is the weakest midfielder that we have currently starting in the pivot? Well, for me, it's Conor Gallagher, because you don't want him deep because he has that bozo moment. So you put him in rotation with Lavia and Caicedo and with Enzo, because after Nkunku comes back, Chukwuemeka's supposed to be back too, whose best position is in the 10. So where the competition is going to be awesome, you're going to find out who's actually good enough to be here and who wilts under that pressure. And if you wilt under that pressure, if your game goes down because you're competing against somebody else, then you're not good enough to be here. And I don't care how much we paid for you or didn't pay for you. If you take a step back when there's competition for your position, you're not good enough to be here. Your mentality is not good enough to be at Chelsea Football Club. Go play at Arsenal. That's their mentality. If you're down, they'll just give you a dog to go home with.
Is this like the bridal shower on Bridesmaids where everybody gets a puppy to go home with? You remember that scene?
I don't know. I don't watch that type of TV shows. But,
no, the movie. The movie. Oh.
I didn't watch that movie either.
Oh, it's funny. No, yeah, everybody that went to the bridal shower got a puppy to go home with, and the fat chick stole 6 of them.
Well, she needs extra loving.
I mean, you know.
No, but Jared makes a good point. Like, this is Chelsea. Like, we're you know, every time we step on the pitch, we're in competition to win every trophy. You know, this is not Arsenal. This is not Spurs, where being relevant is enough. Like, your expectation is to win every trophy you can. So if these guys want to be here, they're going to have to show every time they step on the pitch that they do want to be here. I don't know what's going to happen when you throw Nkunku, Carney, Lavia into the mix, but our team gets a whole lot stronger, because you could see today Pep could throw some of these guys onto the pitch and have the expectation that they would change the game. We didn't really have that outside of Mudryk and, maybe
Gusto.
Yeah, maybe Gusto. But otherwise, if you can bring on, Gallagher later in the game, or bring on Lavia, bring on some of these guys, like, all of a sudden we get a whole lot stronger later in the game as well.
Well, just for example, we took off our starting pivot because I don't yes, it's a 4-3-3, but Conor Gallagher's given a role to go roam and do whatever. So he's not traditionally sitting in a formation, right? So for me, the starting pivot got taken out. Well, for instance, going forward, if you can replace Caicedo and Enzo in the 60th or 70th minute when their legs are kind of at the end, when they've been running around with a Lavia and a Gallagher, because Lavia will sit more. You can sit Lavia more and still let Gallagher have that free roll out of the sixth position, in the double pivot. That's awesome because you bring in stability. We had to bring in Ugachuka, who for all his good stuff is just not ready yet. He has been a little naive in certain instances, late in games where he's not in the right position or he chases the ball when he shouldn't be. So if that's Lavia and Connor, that's a different story, right? That ups your star power off the bench by, instead of going 3-star, you got a 5-star bench.
That's a really good point. And to anyone that's never played in a game like that, and I'm not talking about stadium, I'm just talking about intensity and a soggy field. Like, bro, that field, it all of a sudden feels like you're running in sand, and so a lot of those guys, I mean, you can tell Rodri, Ruben Diaz, Kyle Walker, towards the end of that game, they were gassed. Phil Foden was gassed. Our guys were gassed, although Raheem Sterling kept going. Cole Palmer kept going. But, I mean, like, you play in a game like that where the air is thick, the ground is very soft, everybody's sliding everywhere. It's exhausting, and so you do need to be able to, if you have to, do subs in the midfield. Absolutely. And I think if it was Lavia and Gallagher off the bench, that would be something. That'd be something I'd be very interested in. But Gallagher as a starter, it's just like there were times today where you could just tell like he was the most awkward on the ball of anybody out there. Because there are no awkward players on the ball at City outside of the occasional, like sometimes Kyle Walker doesn't have the best touch. But everybody else is very solid on the ball, whereas Gallagher, it's all a little sloppy. His touches are always a little big, whereas everyone else is very clean. So if he would be coming off the bench, providing, both offense and defense, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely something that I would do. And I would be interested in that if that's the role that he's willing to accept.
Yeah, well, definitely. Everybody thinks I hate Gallagher. Oh, you hate Gallagher. If you go back years, when Frank Lampard was our coach the first time, I wanted Gallagher to stay with the team because there's something that he does better than the other Cobham graduate we had from the midfield. He's a better scorer of the football. I think he's a better striker of the ball, in my opinion. And he's faster, more physical than the other dude. The guy that had some intervals. I don't know what type of intervals. Could be binurals or minerals. Right now it's binurals. So I don't.
Yeah, and his playing time is becoming thinnerals.
Very thinnerals. We could be here all day with that. But
he needs to go see a priest because his game is committing sinnerals.
That's your 2 for the day. That's your 2 dad jokes. You wasted it on Mount. You're done.
Bang, 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 bang.
But he's just missing. He's not a complete player, right? You talk about complete players. Chelsea, you want somebody who can do everything on the pitch, a little bit of all of it. Doesn't mean you have to be an expert at everything, but you at least have to be competent in there. And there's areas in Connor's game, like picking out a pass, being situational awareness sometimes he lacks in. He's just like the golden retriever, man, that sees the stick, go fetch the stick, and he's just running as fast as he can. That's Connor for me. And there's a time and a place for that. That's a time and a place for that. So, yes, you can get him on the bench, but no, he cannot continue as a starter if you want to see Chelsea go to that next level.
Well, let's make sure we sign him up before we let him know that he's going to be a bench player. And if he doesn't like it, then we can sell him and he'll be worth more because he has a bigger contract.
Right.
Well, this turnaround, Paul, and I do feel like it's a turnaround. That outlier Brentford game, we got to stop doing that shit. But I thought that the juiciest part of our schedule, without question, was going to be Arsenal, Spurs, City. I do feel as though that we absolutely weathered the storm on that, because I'm thinking about now, it's not the business end of the season yet, but this is where you got to start thinking about it, more mathematically. I'm looking at Newcastle, a team that is severely injured and also just flat out not playing well. I look at Brighton, who looks decimated, and then Manchester United, probably their worst team in a decade. So those 3 games, and then we get into Sheffield and Everton and Wolves and Palace and Luton again. But those 3 games against, on paper, big names, Brighton excluded because they're minnows, but United, Newcastle, Brighton in between there, you would think that those would be tough games. I don't think that they're even remotely as tough as the Spurs game we just had, the Arsenal game, and the City game. I think that those 3 teams are considerably lesser than the teams that we just played. So I do feel as though we weathered the storm in a way that gives us a lot of confidence. But with this turnaround, we have to win this game against Newcastle. And there are absolutely zero excuses because the players that we need to be available are going to be available. Yes, we got some injuries, but nothing we couldn't handle or replace. Like, Paul, we have to win this Newcastle game. We have to go into it after a good break where the players that are not playing international football, they are at Cobham, they are training, and they are getting ready. Reece James in particular, and Nkunku in particular, getting ready for war against Newcastle. We have to be fucking up for this, man. Because there are no excuses. We have to win this game against a team that is really struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get healthier after the break as well. So I expect them to be better than they were this weekend, for example. But no question about it, like, we have to capitalize on the good play that we've had these last couple weeks, and like I was saying earlier, set that standard and keep the standard of play every time that we come out on the pitch. So yeah, we can't let these good performances be for naught because we can't, pick up points in games that we should pick up points at and move our way up the table because of it. Obviously, we're not where we want to be in the table now, but it's not a bad position if we can start putting a run together and pick up points consistently now.
Yeah, I mean, if we win 2 of those 3 games and tie 1 of them, we're definitely in really good shape to get back up into, top 5 by January. I'm certainly confident, Jared. How do you feel about this next run?
Yeah, I think we've got Newcastle. Newcastle are beat up. I know that they've got an extra week to get unbeat up, but I don't think those injuries and those people are going to be back in time. And if they are, they're not going to be full speed. They can't play Lewis Hall against us because he is on loan. FYI. So they're going to have to play Kieran Trippier at left back, and they're going to have to play Livramento at right back.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I can't fucking wait for that.
And I think Sterling eats his lunch.
That cocky little shit Valentino. No, I want to smoke that.
I hope Sterling just eats his lunch so I don't ever have to hear from Cabanistas again about, we let Valentino Livramento go.
Cabanistas.
Yeah, they're a different version of the Sandinistas.
What is that? A hooligan firm? Is that an ultra group of the Cabanistas?
Cabanistas.
Oh my God! It sounds like a political action committee.
I coined that phrase earlier today on Twitter, so that's mine. Thank you. You're welcome.
I wasn't gonna steal it, Jared, but it was good.
It is. It's pretty good. I just don't want to hear from him anymore. But look, we have, again, you get Nkunku with 30 minutes in that game, and then that Wednesday maybe gets a half hour in the United game, or just another 30 minutes because it's a quick turnaround from Sunday, or is it? No, it's Saturday to Wednesday. So there's a quick turnaround there. So maybe he gets another 30 minutes. And so by the end of the year, dude's ready for 90. And like I said, when you have Jackson and Nkunku in the middle, sometimes Jackson will drop deep and Nkunku will make the run. And then accordingly, Nkunku will get the ball and Jackson will make the runs. So you're going to look, Jackson will be elevated because of one person coming into this side, and that's Christopher Nkunku. And I think people have really not understood what not having him in beginning when he's a nailed on scorer means to us against those smaller teams who play low blocks, because Nkunku can cut those open from the edge and playing 1-2s. And so everybody is, oh, well, Chelsea's 10th. I like where we are. Please keep talking smack about our 10th place right now, please, because before you know it, we're going to be up there at 3rd place, knocking on everybody's door saying, hey, you really want to play with us? Everybody's going to go, nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola was losing his hair out there today, man.
Yeah, I think he has some ingrown hairs now.
Yeah.
He went the other way. They were like, nah, I ain't coming out for this. I'm going the other way. So,
Paul, I want to talk about this one guy. Now, I wrote this morning after the game, and I think it's pretty relevant, considering where he was playing at City. I wrote, when Man City sold Cole Palmer to Chelsea, they thought they were selling an underutilized wing. What they have undoubtedly come to realize is that they have actually sold Chelsea the successor to Kevin De Bruyne. Bad judgment. Now, that's how I feel. I feel as though Cole Palmer's best position is attacking mid. Although he can play wing, of course. But I think as we continue to grow as a team, maybe Nkunku becomes a striker, Nkunku becomes a wing. I'm not sure. But what I am very certain of is that when Cole Palmer is playing attacking mid, I think we look pretty devastating when he has the ball. Now, we got to get him the ball. But when he has the ball, he can carry it. He can pick out a ton of different passes. He's so dangerous on the dribble. He combines well. He's also extremely smart, uses his body very well. And he just has, like what Jared told me earlier today, he has the X factor. He's got the attitude. He's got the balls. The balls. All right? Cojones. All right? He's got that sack. And just an unbelievably impressive series of games for us. He hasn't played that long for us, probably a month and a half. 4 goals, multiple man of the match performances, and then in the biggest moment of the game, just stepping up and burying a PK afterwards. The Sky Sports person was like, "Oh yeah, talk to us about your preparation for the penalty kicks." He goes, "Yeah, I don't want you to think that I work on these penalty kicks. I don't work on penalty kicks, but I'm always ready to take one if I want to." So I just, it's that naturalism that he brings to his game. You could tell he goes out at night after games. You could tell that he's probably a good time to hang with, and he's probably a normal human being. But there is a naturalism to his game that I just really appreciate, because he's not one of those robots that I'm sure Pep wanted him to be. He's a British guy. He's probably well steeped in British culture, but you could tell when the moment is there to be met, he meets it, and he doesn't really hesitate. And I've just been very impressed by a guy that I didn't expect a lot from when we first bought him, and he has wildly surpassed my expectations. And that goal was cold as hell. Just a what a ballsy player, and you could just tell he loves every minute of this, and I'm sure he's very thrilled with the decision he made.
Yeah, look, I'll put this on. I will compare this to a sport that I used to really enjoy watching. It was basketball. And I'm talking about 80s and 90s basketball, the heyday of the sport. Believe me, these new teams play against those teams. They're not even. That's not even the same sport.
Oh, so me and Paul know we're huge Celtics heads.
So there was a few players that you knew if the game was close and the ball was in their hand, you would lose. Well, I'll start with the first one that I ever watched in my life. A man named Larry Bird, basketball Jesus. If he had the ball with a chance to win it, more than likely than not, he was going to sink it. Same thing with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Ooh.
If he had the ball in his hands with time left and he could win the game, he was going to win it. Cole Palmer has some of that same characteristics in him. He is a killer. He wants to be the dagger, to shove it in your side, in your back. He doesn't care. He's going to stab you if he has the chance. I'm not trying to be violent here, but that's the right vernacular to use. The man is lethal in his mind every time. He's looking to cut you apart. And there's far too many players in this game who are passive, that want the game to come to them. Instead, this kid goes out and makes things happen. And you can't have too many of those players on your team.
Yeah, he's
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Paul.
Let's be clear why he left City, because he knew he's ready to take this step, and he wanted to be that guy. There's an opportunity for him here at Chelsea to step right in and do that. We need more of that attitude, and he has been absolutely outstanding. I've always been a fan of him, but I did not see him immediately becoming such an integral part of the team like he has. And let's see what happens. There's plenty more for him to come, that's for sure. I'm wondering, I think Nkunku will probably end up taking the PKs. I don't know if you guys have thought about that at all, but I still want him to be involved and for his attitude to continue to rub off on some of these guys.
Yes, I'm not taking duties away from someone that's 4 for 4. Just not doing it. I don't care if Nkunku took the penalties that his other team. I hear what you're saying. That's like Palmer. I think he just randomly took one for us, and then he just became the de facto taker. But I'm fine with it. They've all been really good, and Nkunku, you'll have to wait your turn until he misses, if he ever does. So.
Yeah. And it's not bad to have more than one penalty taker on the team, because
no, of course
somebody gets injured or somebody's not on the pitch when a penalty needs to be taken. You got to have somebody that's just as competent. And really and truly for me, I don't get this at all, because I played goalkeeper. And if you're in a goal and a guy is on the spot, if you don't score, it's on you.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Because that
yeah.
goal looks awful big when somebody's standing that close with the ball and it's just you and them.
Oh, dude, yeah. Diego Luna. Okay, we went to second round of penalties in a row against Houston yesterday. Luna had a good game, good second half, scored a goal, and then just takes a whopper of a penalty kick. Easiest save of the day for any goalie. And he's just looking around, and he's expecting sympathy from everybody. And after the game, he's crying, and he's looking for Chicho Arango and Pablo Mascheroni to console him. And I'm sitting there like, dude, I don't have any sympathy for you. None. I took the fucking penalty kicks on my club team. Make your penalties. The onus is entirely on the shooter. The goalkeeper is completely helpless. Like, imagine this, Jared. Imagine this scenario where you've got a breakaway, right? And at that breakaway, the keeper is not allowed to come off his line. So in a game, all of a sudden you have a breakaway and you're 12 feet away. You're 12 yards away. That's where you would normally shoot. You make it every time. So how is that any different than when it's a spot kick? There is no difference, because the keeper still can't come off his line. Okay?
Right.
Do not miss your penalties. It's the easiest goal you'll ever have. You should be making it 100% of the time. So I have zero sympathy for anybody that misses. Zero. Messi used to miss all the time. Oh, it's okay, Messi. It's not. It's not. This is a free goal, man. It's a free goal.
No, it's controlling your nerves. It's keeping your head clear and just converting on what should be your easiest chance of the match to do so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not difficult at all. I played with a guy who played at junior college after high school. He was like 5'6", 5'7", but and he had really small feet. He could kick a banana kick. So every time he had a penalty, it was a banana kick. So he would kick it with the outside of his boot, and it would start to the left and actually bend to the right, and it was unstoppable. This is a kid in high school. We're talking about players who can juggle the ball, keep the ball up the whole length of the pitch, juggling it, but they can't hit the goal. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. If you can't hit one of the corners, if you hit one of the corners, there's no goalkeeper in the world who's going to stop it. It's just not physically possible, scientifically possible. There's a reaction time, and the ball's going 80 to 90 miles an hour. You can't get there in time. It's not humanly possible. So for me, everybody should be able to take them and score, 98, 99, 100% of the time. But if somebody's at 100%, you don't take them off. You just don't, because you're playing with the football gods then, right? You're saying, okay, if you do that and the next person is going to miss, it's nailed on that if you do that, the guy that takes over the duties will miss his first one. I think it's the most nailed on thing in football.
So I kind of want to talk about the game itself, just within the greater context of the sport. John Terry posted this after the game. John Terry, always interjecting himself into everything. The atmosphere today was the best I've heard since retiring. Fans and support was first class, as was the performance by the boys. Now, the atmosphere was rocking, no doubt. And there was a couple of people I know that went to the game, and I was talking with them afterwards, and just an unbelievable atmosphere. And I think more than just that, the game itself, like I said in the intro, I think this is why we watch. Games like this are not replicable in other countries. And I don't even think certain teams can go and do this. So, except for every once in a while. We always seem to have these games. But this one, I think, really stood out. And the performance itself, there was so much confidence to it, even in the midst of us making some mistakes. Okay, the Akanji goal shouldn't have happened. Okay, the second Holland goal shouldn't have happened. The deflection on Thiago Silva, okay, it's wet. I get it. Shit happens. And then the Cucurella goal, I do believe that he did foul Holland, although they were both fouling each other. Okay, I understand that. But despite the fact that we did shoot ourselves in the foot multiple times, we didn't let it affect us in our confidence. Every time they scored, we would score. We would have a rebuttal. Jackson finally onside on a deflection, gets in front of everybody, puts it in the back of the net. There was a lot of confidence, and you hear it from guys like Stevie Nicol, who never says a nice thing about Chelsea ever. He said today, neither team deserved to lose, but certainly Chelsea did not deserve to lose, and they deserve probably more than a tie. I do believe that we deserved the win. I think that we had the better moments, and we allowed them to get back into the game as opposed to them being good. I think it was more along the lines of us having mental fragility at certain moments, having mental lapses at certain moments. But for the most part, we tied because of us, for good and bad. We tied because of the goals we scored. We also tied because of the goals we gave them. I don't think that City took it to us the way that we took it to them. And as a result, everybody should be really pleased with how this came out. Even if it's a tie, there's more than it. There's more than just the overall game. Again, no moral victories, no Pyrrhic victories, none of that shit. But I do feel as though it's a great turnaround for us to go in the right direction. I do appreciate some of the particular performances, Reece James, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling. But all in all, that atmosphere, that attitude is the type of shit that we need more often. Because I don't want it to come in spurts. I don't want it to be a surprise to John Terry, a surprise to the fans that the fans showed up and the team was, giving their absolute all. No, man, this is your job. You have to be able to do this all the time. Not every single game, but it has to happen more often than not.
Well, again, if you're considering the fans a part of the team, the 12th man,
they're part of the atmosphere.
the 12th man. I'm sorry, I grew up 45 minutes away from Texas A&M. They had the 12th man there, best atmosphere in the world to watch a college football game. And I've been to a bunch of them, so I can say that. We don't get that at Stanford Bridge unless the team is playing well. If you're the 12th man, if you're part of the team, because some people think they have the right to say who should be coach and who should be owner and everything else and what banners should be able to be displayed. I'm talking at you pitch owners. I'm sorry.
Supporters Trust.
Supporters Trust. If you're part of the team like you think you are, then bring it every game in, that game out. Good result, bad result. Pick up the team when they're down, or you're not being a good teammate. I want to hear about it.
Really well said by both of you. Great points. Carlito, great, concise conclusion, I thought, right there. The only thing to add is I don't know if we gave Raheem enough credit.
Ooh.
He was the best player on the pitch for me the entire game, and you could tell he had a little extra motivation, whether it be playing Pep again or Southgate. Doesn't matter. He needs to bring it every match like that, and he has been very good for us this year. But he's really becoming the leader of this team. So let's keep it going, Raheem.
The dream. Yeah, you had Shane texting us saying, "Oh, he's by far the best player on the field." Today he was surreal. Like winning the ball. I mean, he must have met Kyle Walker 4 times. I mean, just doing him dirty, man. And then it's like, good Lord, Raheem, he has a family. He has a family.
No, he abused them. There's no question about it. And you don't see that for Kyle Walker ever.
No.
You don't see him have that happen to him.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last game that I saw us play against Man City like that, we had another left wing on the pitch that was amazing that day. So you could say that, as long as the left wing plays well, we're going to do something to City. It's not that simple, but yeah, it helps to have forward players that want to show, that wants to shine, that wants to go out there and prove a point. Again, that's great for this time. Prove a point every game. Put that chip on your shoulder and glue that bastard on so nobody can knock it off. So you got that chip right every game. So, my thing was Sterling, I wanted him gone, but he wasn't playing like this. Play like this, I become a fan.
I think part of it is the additions we've made, the current manager that we have. Hope he stays long term. I know we always say that, but I really, really like Mauricio Pochettino. I really do, and I think everybody does. I don't think there's anybody in that locker room that doesn't like him, except for maybe Noni Madueke, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I just think that the players we've added, Enzo Caicedo, Malo Gusto, Disasi, Cole Palmer, Jackson, and then eventually Nkunku. I mean, those players all make Sterling better. There's not a detractor there. There's not a negative presence in that group on Raheem Sterling's game. It would all just make him a better player. So, we obviously need that from him. That's what the money is for. $325,000 a week. You fucking better play well. But I do agree he's been really good this season, apart from maybe the odd game. He said certainly more great games than bad games. And yeah, I mean, I really like Raz too. I like him, man. He's been around the game a long time. He means a lot to English football. And the fact that he's still got the Jets, it's pretty great. Hopefully he can still continue to be at that level for maybe another year and a half, and then we move on. But certainly need him for at least another year and a half. Before we conclude, because I don't really want to harp on the same points, but I do want to, ask you guys what you guys want to do for the Newcastle game, just in terms of, just do a rat-a-tat-tat what you think the lineup would be, because I have something in my mind that I would go with, but I'm curious as to what you guys think.
Yeah, I'll go. You want to go first, Paul, or do you want me to go?
I can go. Mine's pretty straightforward. I actually think you just keep doing what's working. Stay with the same 11 we started with. And if you want to, make some changes along the way, do it later in the game, kind of like we did today. But I thought Spurs, now City, we're starting to build in the right direction.
Jared, how about you?
For me, the only change I probably would make is I would like to see Benny B. And probably next to Disasi, or Thiago Silva. It really doesn't matter there, but I just want to see who? Disasi.
No.
Oh, the fraud ball? Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know.
But other than that, I wouldn't change the midfield up too much. And like I said, I'm guessing for that first match that Nkunku would be, 60th minute, come on,
Yeah.
get 30 on his, or even 20. And really and truly, we shouldn't really need him for Newcastle, if I'm being honest. They're starting to understand what it is to be a big team and playing more than one competition at a time. That's why I didn't have them in the top 4 this year, because they didn't have the squad that could do it.
Yeah.
So
let's introduce this guy before he has a coronary. Fraud ball, Mr. Train Man. How we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all good. Lateness is, well, not exactly greatness, but happy to be on, even if it is nearly an hour late or however long it's been. You guys have been on. But what a crazy week. I watched as much of the game as I could on my ever-long train home. And yeah, Chelsea never disappoints. And to all the people not backing Poch before this game,
Crazy.
absolutely fuck you. Royally fuck off and go support a different team, because this team is back, and when Nkunku comes back, people need to be frightened.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was also saying Lavia as well. I think Lavia's going to make more of an impact than people think. But the Nkunku thing, I mean, Matt, we were just talking about it, but how do you think that it'll shape up with our front 4 players, striker, attacking mid, 2 wings? Because I think Sterling and Palmer are going to play regardless. But I'm curious as to what you would do with the final 2 positions if Nkunku is a fit Nkunku.
Yeah, I mean, I'd personally play Nkunku behind Jackson, because I think you're getting a lot of people saying, "I'll play Nkunku up front, but I just look at him and think, as good as he could be good up front, but I don't think that's how you get the best out of him. And I think the problem with Chelsea over the last few years is we've not played players in their best position. We've got them to do a job, and we've not got the best out of them. I think Nkunku would be better playing as a second striker, like, say, a Lautaro Martinez, but I think they still need someone next to him. And that's why I would trust Jackson, who, let's be honest, hasn't had the best of runs, but is a 22-year-old player that's played under 100 games, and yet he's still got more goals than, well, it looks like he's going to get more goals than Kai Havertz got last season.
Unbelievable.
Whole season. So I would keep going with Jackson until and if we get another striker, and I'd play Nkunku in the middle. He can almost switch positions with Palmer on that right simultaneously, and Sterling will currently stay on the left until Mudryk improves and becomes more consistent.
See, that's what I would do, right? I would have Palmer and Nkunku playing both positions.
Yeah, it's the fluidity we've all been talking about, but actually these players are fluid, unlike other players that we think are fluid in the past.
See, this is exactly it, man. Is that I would have them interchanging, switching off every 10 minutes, keeping the defensive midfielder of the other team and the left back of the other team confused. And
this is how you keep low blocks guessing.
Low defensive teams.
Well, yes, because if you're if Palmer and Nkuku are going to keep dragging people in and out, you're going to create space in that defence. And once you open the block, you create more chances. And ultimately, you're more likely to score. Obviously, we still have the problem where we need to finish more than chances. But if we get an elite striker, as people want to coin the phrase, then hopefully we'll be scoring more than chances. But I mean, we've scored 8 goals in 2 games. So we can score goals when it comes to it. We just need to be more consistent at doing that. Yeah, I know I said low block, but I am just adapting to the Twitter words. Defensive teams, teams that put more than 5 or 6 men behind the ball.
Yeah, 9 or 10, with the exception of Troy Deeney, who just sits up top for Watford.
If I'm going to coin another word, 19th century football.
Oh,
Paul,
he can't take it. He can't take it, Kenny. One of the greatest post-game pressers I've ever seen. Fucking Big Sam. Oh, Jose, he can't take it, Kenny. Just being a dickhead. Oh, Big Sam. One of the best of all time. So we're getting towards the end here, and I do want to ask about player of the game, and then final thoughts as well. Just getting into it. I will give my player of the game. It is Raheem Sterling. Wonderful performance, an emotional performance. He fucking wrecked Phil Foden there at the end. I thought that was his second yellow. I thought we were going to be without him for a while. Good thing it was his first yellow. What a badass performance. Just double middle fingers to Pep, Gareth Southgate, to the country of England, all of it. He was outstanding. And Kyle Walker, I mean, he bent him over and showed him all 50 states. Holy cow, what a performance. Paulinho?
I agree with you. It's got to be Raz. I'll give a shout out to our guy Sanchez. Some great saves in net.
That save
with his feet. No. Yeah, that save. I mean, Carlito and I were talking, and like the way Sanchez gets down on those low shots, I don't think we've had a keeper that's as good as he is since maybe Petr Cech. Like especially how tall he is, he really gets down there quick. But yeah, I'll give him a shout, and otherwise it's got to be Raz because he torched him.
Yeah. How about you, J-Rod?
For me, I am gonna go with a wild card here.
Oh.
I don't know how wild the wild card is, but I'm gonna say Mr. Cold Palmer.
Ooh!
Because I think that you have to have a foil if you're going to have a good game. You have to have somebody on the other side that's going to equally be as good as you. And for me, Cold Palmer has been like that every game I've watched him, and just to step up. And as easy as we talked about penalties being, this kid is young. He is playing against the team that he grew up against, and he hits an unsavable penalty. Not just a good one, unsavable. There's no keeper ever getting to that ball in any, unless they're off their line early. So that is unbelievable balls from a player who has shown, the ability to teabag the other team with those enormous balls on multiple occasions. And I'm here for it.
Matt Ball, fraud ball.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would agree with Sterling, but just to be a bit different, I'm going to throw another name into the hat, and that was the captain, Reece James. I think coming back from injury seemed to just slot seamlessly in there, even though he's playing arguably the best. Well, I will say arguably because they conceded 4 goals against us, arguably the best team in the world. And I think done absolutely fantastic on that right hand side. The goal, I think it was, what goal was it? It was Sterling's, I believe.
Yeah.
Just the way he's cut in and made Vardy out £100 and whatever £1 million centre back / left back looked like nothing. And obviously, I'll probably give it to Sterling because, again, Sterling played the whole match and James only played 64 because of the injuries and the coming back from injury. But I just wanted to give him credit as an honourable mention. But Raheem Sterling probably my man of the match.
All right, final thoughts, Paulinho. Oh,
sorry about that. Realized I was on mute. No, let's keep building. Like we've been saying, it's all about keeping this as the standard of play every time we step on the pitch. So Newcastle, I mean, I'm not taking them for granted. They're a good side. They always show up against the big sides, and they're going to be a little bit more healthy than they've been. So let's see if we can keep it going.
Jared?
Yeah, I think we started this process against Arsenal, but we dropped the ball on the next game against Brentford. And this week, I guess if you want to, it's not a proper week, but within the same 7 days, we've won two amazing, or gotten 4 points, not 1, 2. I feels like a win. That's why I keep saying that. But 4 points from two teams that we were supposed to get 0 points from. So now we've got the Mo back on our side. So we need to go out against Newcastle when we come back from the international break and put them to the sword. End of.
Matthew?
All I'm going to say is Strasbourg Steve, be scared. Be fucking scared of this amazing team. And Cuckoo is going to be back in this team. Whether he starts or is on the bench, I don't care. And Newcastle are going to be torn a new arsehole. Chelsea are back, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be Carlito versus Dan Burn. Because I think Dan Burn is a world-class prick. He's just an asshole. You know, if there was an asshole contingent, he would be the nomination. Just a dickhead extraordinaire. I can't wait to smoke them. Dan Burn, you better tighten up that jockstrap, young man, because we're coming.
It might be King Louis.
Oh no, we're not allowing him to play.
Okay, he's online. I forget he's online.
But you know what I want to do? I want to let the boy watch. Let the boy watch. That's right. You're gonna watch this one, King Louis. You're the one that wanted to leave. Well, we're gonna make you pay for that. I'm thrilled with this game. I had a great time. I had an awesome time. The people that live below me know I had an awesome time watching this game. My poor condo. I was going nuts, man. I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't know, I think I speak for everybody when I say that this was a game that if you play well against City, it's a little bit more because of their investment, because of how intelligent they are with team construction, with their overall philosophy that they always stick to, with the amount of money that they spend, with the manager that is very cerebral and has just seen it all, done it all, and always makes adjustments and is very difficult to beat. When you go toe to toe with them, it's always something more. But the atmosphere, the fans, the rain, the referee, the whole thing was absolutely wild. One of the best games I've seen in a very long time. And again, I'll say this for the third time. Games like today are the reason that we love the sport. They keep us coming back. They keep us addicted. It is that drug. But this one was almost like an overdose because it was so fucking great. And I think that there's not a player in that team that doesn't feel much more confident today than they did when they woke up this morning. And I love the team. I love where we're going. I love Cole Palmer and his shitty haircut. And I think that we're definitely going to have a really good rest of the winter as we go into January when we buy Ollie Watkins. Okay, this has been the Project Blue Co podcast or Blue Co project. Blue Co. Yeah. Okay, great win. Great shit. It was a great game. I enjoyed it. My fellow friends enjoyed it. Thank you guys for coming on. And yeah, we're gonna have a nice little international break. We might do a pod before the Newcastle game. Maybe even bring on that annoying little prick Strasbourg Steve. We'll see. But until then, up the Chelsea. Blue Coat Project. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Tell your friends. Tell your mother. Tell your sister. Say hi to your mother for me. See ya.